Good day and welcome to the dining room table. New York City is having a public safety briefing. This is one of many public safety briefings. If you check my other videos, you will see the review of some com stats. And many people say it doesn't feel like the city is safe. You look at the news, you see a lot going on in the news and you can't tell victims or families that murders are down, right? Because every life matters. uh, One thing that they are saying is that they are down. If you look at the comp stats, you will see it. But of course, like I said, you can't tell victims or families that. So the goal is to get it down to zero, right? We get to the day and age where police officers don't have to do any work because there's no crimes, there's no murders, there's no robberies, there's no rapes. Um, if you work, sleep, offer services, have children in the city, this is important to watch. This is important to watch so you know what's going on. You can see, the plan. This is about transparency so we can hear, you hear it from the news, but hearing it right from um the place where the news is getting it, it's important, right? The previous administration didn't do this. Uh, the agencies were very separate, and if you are running a business or running a city, you need the different agencies, you need the different departments, you need them to work together for the same goal, for the same mission, right? People are leaving the city, and this is not just a New York City this issue, this is a national issue. Many places, it's a global issue. The crime is a problem. New York City is just, a very big city. People are leaving, city employees are leaving, right? People are coming out of the schools because they don't feel safe. So having this briefing, letting people know that they are working on it, they have plans, there are things in place, that the stats say that their things are going in the right direction is important. Just this past week, you had a couple shootings near schools. Children were shot. Uh, Praying that they are okay, and we help that. We help that part of um, our city more, to help these young people um, with the conflicts. You also have the subway crimes. The subway, if people don't feel safe, they're not going to take the subway. And that's something that they've been working on for a while. Hate crimes, we don't often hear so much about the hate crimes, but that is something as well. And this all goes back to the money. It goes back to the real estate. If neighborhoods and communities have an increase in violence, property values can be decreased, and where homeowners can lose value for their homes, and then the city will also lose property tax, because if the value is lowered and the assessment is lower, then the amount of revenue that the city is losing. So it's many different ways that the city knows that if they lose the people in their city, they can lose the money in their city as well. So we're going to listen to this. We're going to keep following these. These are very important, to hear what they're going to say, what their plan is. So let's get to it.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's public safety briefing led by Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Phil Banks. Following our last speaker, we will take a few questions from the media, followed by some more questions that have been submitted by the public ahead of today's briefing. I would now like to turn it over to Deputy Mayor Phil Banks.
Thank you. So, welcome everyone. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Let's hope that we have a very festive but safe St. Patrick's Day. And I hope that it's March Madness. So, I hope that someone of you picked Princeton in your bracket. If you didn't, your bracket is going to be a little bit messed up. So, happy March Madness to everyone here. So today we are joined by three very senior level members of the administration. We're going to be hearing from the NYPD Chief of Department, the four-star chief of the NYPD, and he is going to be giving a briefing on some crime stats, but more importantly, he's going to be talking about community CompStat. There's a lot of people who understand CompStat have heard that term, but they just developed community CompStat, and Chief Manager is going to be speaking about that. And then we're going to hear from our Corp Counsel Judge, Sylvia Hines-Radix, who is the top judge, right? She's the top judge in New York City, and she's going to be talking about the administration's efforts, what we're taking against these retailers who are illegally selling license plate covers. And she's going to go into detail about that. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to hear from Department of Transportation Commissioner Idanis Rodriguez. He oversees DOT, and he's going to be giving us an overview on safety on our roadways and public updates on some of the projects that they've been working on. So we've had these meetings now 3 or 4 weeks now, and we're going to be fine-tuning them. And as you see, each week we have different guests that come forth, and we're trying to provide as much information as we possibly can on what we're doing, but more importantly, what we need to hear from you so that we can continue to do our jobs a lot better. So a lot of this is communication, but certainly we want to inform and be able to do our job a lot better. So we certainly thank for you who are tuning in. So tell a friend, send a link if you have a link to different people, because we need to hear from as much people as possible. Now, how do you get involved? As a start, go to nyc.gov, nyc.gov, and click on Office of the Mayor. Once you do that, you will receive an email, and that email will inform you of what we're going to discuss for this upcoming weekly briefing, and then it'll give you the opportunity to submit your questions so that we can now answer your questions and kind of hear what you're seeing, what you're feeling, and the things that you need answers to, or the things that you need us to know so that we can revamp our plans and our strategies accordingly. So for those who do, we certainly thank you. Please tell a friend. And certainly for those who have not done it thus far, who are listening for the first time, please feel free to go onto their website. We certainly encourage you. So kicking it off today, we're going to have the four-star chief in the NYPD. So for those who don't know, in the NYPD, the uniform side of it, we have one-star chiefs, two-star chiefs, three-star chiefs, but there's only one four-star chief of the department. Everything funnels into the chief of the department, and he is going to let us know about something that he's kicking off called Community CompStat. Jeff, kicking it to you.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Banks, and good afternoon to all the viewers. I bring greetings from the NYPD, Commissioner Sewell, and I'd like to say a happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Before this forum, I was out on the parade route. I inspected everything. The NYPD is out there in full force. We're monitoring all kinds of streams, and at this time, there's no credible threats. So I expect everybody to have a good day, enjoy themselves, and to get home safely. Just really quick, touching on crime overall, we're definitely trending in the right direction, but it's going to be tough. We're down in shootings about 20%, homicides about 20%, and we're pushing down most of the other crime categories that we monitor. We're down in robberies citywide. We're down in burglaries citywide. We're down in grand larceny citywide. We're still having some struggles with car theft and our felony assaults, but I assure our viewers, our listeners, that the NYPD is monitoring all the crimes. We're deploying where we need to, and we're going to keep pushing this fight. I'm confident we're going to have a good year. What I really want to talk about is our community CompStat that we'll be kicking off our first one on Tuesday, March 21st. So what is the community CompStat? It's a forum. It's an opportunity for the people of New York City to be able to join us to discuss crime and quality of life challenges in their neighborhoods. On the 21st, we will be starting with the Bronx. So when you turn on to the forum, which is a virtual stream, you'll have a dais of myself. You'll have Chief of Crime Control Strategies, our Community Affairs Bureau, our Housing Bureau, our Patrol Services Bureau, our Transit Bureau, Transportation Bureau, and Detective Bureau. We'll also have participation from other city agencies. Of course, we'll have a City Hall rep. We'll have a DHS, Department of Homeless Services, Sanitation, the Housing Authority, the Parks Department, Department of Transportation, our sheriff, the Health and Mental Hygiene, and of course the DOE, Department of Education. And Our patrol borough commanders, our housing borough commanders, and our transit borough commanders will be providing an overview of crime and quality of life in their particular command, in their particular borough. And then we'll discuss some of the community resources through community affairs. It will spotlight particular precincts. The precinct commands will stand up at the podium and they will discuss what's going on in their command. And then, of course, we'll open it up for people to ask questions and we will provide answers. Only thing I would ask is if you have something that's very sensitive, something that, possibly could reveal who you are, you just save that question and I promise we'll answer it offline. We always have to keep people safe when we do these forums. And then one other thing I like.
So I just want to put it out that in this is New York City. In every single precinct, there are precinct council meetings. So there are meetings once a month where the police department gives their overview of what the crime stats are and what's going on, and then there are every precinct is broken down to sectors, and then that it goes even there's officers there to give you even more details. If you work, if you offer services, if you have children, you want to know what's going on. If it's safe for your child to take the bus home from school, where you're going to be buying that house, what's going on near, when you go to the supermarket. You want to know these things, so but this is new. This is, as Chief Madry is explaining, it's a forum on a bigger scale. So yes, they have the sectors, they have the precincts, um, and you can talk to the community. Um, there wasn't this much communication in previous administrations directly to the people, and I think this is what they're doing in order to build um, um, the the people feeling secure, feeling the public safety when they go to the train or when they go to the supermarket or when they go out. So this is where you can ask the questions directly. But like I said, there's also the precinct meetings, the sector meetings, the community board meetings. Sat on the community board for many years. There's also public safety um, committees within the community board. So there are many levels that you can find out what's going on, but they're taking it to a grander level and keeping the people involved. That's very important.
Like to touch on as well, besides the community comps, that the summer will be here soon. Today's a great day. We're already through the midway point of March. Before we know it, it'll be spring, and then summer will be here. Besides working very diligently to put forth strategies that will reduce crime and improve quality of life, we have to think about our youth. We're going to have a strong youth strategy. We're going to work closely with DYCD. We're going to work closely with summer youth employment. We'll open our doors to bring as many young people as possible, show them the opportunities that are available to them within the NYPD. Our youth coordination officer program is expanded in every precinct. So our youth coordination officers will be working within their own precincts, doing a variety of programs that'll focus on enrichment of the youth, academic skills, sports skills, and whatever else our young people bring to us. If they want it, we'll find a way to provide it for them, and we'll use it as a way to bring value to them and have a positive impact on them and their families.
So every year, New York City has summer youth employment for young people. I've taken summer youth for even throughout the year for many years. The police department last year, I think they took over 500 children. One of the issues with summer youth is that they don't have that many employers who are willing to take in the young people during the summer, and the city pays them. So I think I'm going to do a video on that one. If you are an employer, an accountant, an architect, a lawyer, a nurse, and you want to show a young person the ropes while they get paid, and you can get some. Some assistance, then you should definitely, and they also have virtual. Don't have to necessarily come in into a workplace. So he's talking about that. Very important.
So these are the things I just wanted to discuss this morning. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you, Deputy
Mhm.
Mayor.
You know, I had the privilege of working with Jeff for many, many years. In my opinion, Jeff commanded two of the toughest precincts in New York City, 73rd Precinct and 75th Precinct.
Brooklyn.
He commanded community affairs, chief of patrol, housing, borough, Brooklyn. And I just want to tell you, Chief, that every place that you have gone to was better off that you were there. And this is not the first time I'm telling him this. I told him this many, many years ago. So certainly, I think the city is actually privileged to have you as the chief of the department. And as the Adams administration is attempting to do, this is actually relates to a question that was asked maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago about who's coming up here. Is that was a very revolutionary concept that was instituted years ago, and Commissioner Bill Bratton has to get the overwhelming majority of credit for implementing that. And it was a great accountability system, and depending on what side of the dais you were on, right, it was you had a different perspective in it. But it actually changed a lot for the better. And now the Adams administration is now saying, bring other agencies involved into the process, bring the community involved. Let's open up this particular door. So I congratulate Commissioner Sewell for actually originating this idea and moving it forward. So this hats off, and I actually think that's going to be very interesting, Chief. So
Thank you for the kind words, sir.
so next, we're going to hear from our top judge in the city, right? With Corp Counsel, Head Sylvia Hines Radix, as we call her, the judge. That's what we call her around City Hall. And she's going to speak about some legal action that they're taking. And I just want to start off by stating is that early on in Adams' administration, we reached out to Amazon and we reached a deal with Amazon so that Amazon would not be able to, they agreed to not sell these license plate covers if you are ordering them from the state of New York. So that was our first step and reaching out. So I just want to have a shout out to Amazon, thank them very much. And that's what that public private partnership is all about. But we did not stop there. We continued that particular fight, and we're going to hear now from the judge.
And I'm the city's lawyer, see.
Mhm.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Banks, for this kind invitation to address you today, um, and to talk about some sensitive issues that the law department has undertaken. Of course, I am the corporation counsel, and I had the law department that has a group of very dedicated people who work tirelessly to protect the interest of New Yorkers. One of our 16 legal divisions is tasked with filing legal lawsuits against individuals and companies that violate the law and undermine the interests of the people of this city. For instance, we file lawsuits to protect tenants and members of the public where we sue landlords who are violating the housing laws and allow their buildings to become unsafe. To get deadly ghost guns off the street, we sued online retailers illegally selling ghost gun parts into the city. And today, I'd like to provide you with an update of the effort that we've just started to prevent the sale of license plates covers. This merchandise endangers New Yorkers, and it has resulted in significant dollars of loss of revenue to the city of New York for several years. And as you know, license plate covers are used to obscure vehicle license plates to evade law enforcement cameras and tolls. These covers have no legitimate purpose but to allow people to break the law. No family should endure the loss of a loved one at the hands of a reckless driver. These products promote that irresponsible conduct. The NYPD has since March of 2022 associated unreadable license plates with instances of traffic violence and crime, enabling reckless drivers to evade 1.5 million speed and red light cameras is the estimated number. Traffic deaths during this period have surged, and traffic fatalities are at their highest since 2014. In addition, license plate covers cause a direct loss of revenue to the city. The sale and distribution of material intended to cover a license plate is unlawful. Pursuant to NYC Local Law 22, as well as Section 402 of New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law. This past summer, as was said by Deputy Mayor, Amazon complied with the city's demand to immediately stop selling these license plate covers to New York City residents. And our efforts at this interest has not stopped. Several weeks ago, it came to the city's attention that two of the nation's largest auto part retailers, with 33 locations in New York City, were illegally selling license plate covers. Through cease and desist letters from the law department on behalf of the city, two of these companies were put on notice that their unlawful sales should stop or they would face legal action. Today, I report that both companies have agreed to follow the law. One of the companies, Advanced Auto Parts Inc., has confirmed in writing that license plate covers were removed from their city stores and would no longer be available on sale, online sale in the city. We await written confirmation from the second company, AutoZone. We've made it clear to their legal office that the city is prepared to see them in court if this promise is not kept. Other retailers engaged in this behavior should take notice. The city is intent on enforcing its laws. The city of New York will not tolerate companies that flout the law and put New Yorkers at risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And those are the things that make a lot of difference. Those are the areas that make a lot. I mean, you just think about it for a second. What is as the judge says, what is the reason or the rationale for you having something that's going to obscure or cover your license plate? You're evading a toll, you're evading a camera, or you're engaging in some other illegal activity. So I just want to applaud you and thank you very, very much for that effort. Okay, so now next up we have our DOT Commissioner, Adonis Rodriguez. And though there are a lot of different agencies, such as the Corp Council, the Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, that do a lot of work when it comes to our highways, the lead agency and the lead person is Commissioner Rodriguez, and he's now going to take it from here. Shoot.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Banks, and we know that under the leadership of Mayor Eric Adams, as we have seen from Deputy Mayor and the judge and the chief and myself, there's only one responsibility that we all have in this case from DOT is to see traffic violence as something that we are committed to eradicating. And even the data is showing, updated data showing that fatality it is also dropping, in different ways that we're going to be showing through this slide. And this is the result of partnership between, NYPD, DOT, and other agency under our Mayor Eric Allen. It is my pleasure to join you on behalf of New York City Department of Transportation. And again, whatever I'm doing as a commissioner is the results of having a great leadership that I have together with my first deputy, Margaret Johnny, Polo Chor, Julie Berry, and the great team of almost 6,000 men and women that work very hard DOT to be sure that safety in the street is a top priority. Uh, Throughout Vision Zero, we've been able to see improving safety on our street throughout engineering, education, and of course, enforcement. The loss of one life is too many for this administration,
Absolutely.
and we are committed to reduce it to zero, the numbers of pedestrians and cyclists that lost their life because of crashes.
Traffic, um, traffic in New York City, there's so many cars, there's so many buses, so many vehicles, and as he's explaining, a lot of people have been killed. Pedestrians walking the streets. Uh, you have people riding their bikes. So covering this is important. Uh, like I said, if you're in New York City, you want to make sure you're crossing the street and you know you're going to be safe. You know, there are a lot of accidents. You want to make sure that things are going to, when you have so many different vehicles, you have buses, you have bicycles, you have pedestrians, you have trucks. w- DOT has to make sure that everyone could move on our city streets safely.
We have seen reduction for the first time of traffic fatality in New York City, declining for the first time since 2018. This decline runs counter to national-wide trends, as we have seen the city being an increase of crashes and numbers going up on fatality. New York City is leading a decline of those numbers. To help combat the increase in reckless driving during the pandemic, DOT last year secured authorization to operate our speed camera 24 hours, 7 days a week. Most crashes were happening from 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. And we went to Albany and we secured a speed camera 24 hours. We also improved safety at 1,600 intersections as we continue to install life-saving infrastructure to support Safe Street under the leadership of Eric Beaton, who oversee everything on planning in our street. In slide 2, we will see how the data that we are seeing so far this year. All those data in year to date as February 2nd, 2023. All traffic fatalities are down 30% from 2022 and down 9% from 2019. Pedestrians fatalities are down 32% from 2022 and 2019. Motor vehicle fatalities are down 47% from 2022, and bike killed and severely injured are up 30% from 2022, but down 8% from 2019. Of course, the whole portfolio looking at those data is also followed by Julia, who is also here with us. So they're doing a great job in that particular area at DOT. All severe injuries are up 14% from 2022, but down 26% from 2019. All injuries are up 6% from 2022, but down 20% from 2019. When we go to a slide 3, what we see is securing 24 hours speed camera enforcement was a major victory for the whole city of New York, not only for Mayor Adams and his administration. Before the state granted this authorization last year, these cameras were not allowed to operate when speeding was happening on night and on weekends. We have seen remarkable results from expanded enforcement. Since August 2022, the first month of around the clock enforcement, the city has seen 40% reduction in speed violations.
So these cameras make the city a lot of money. There were some stats on it. I'll see if I could find it and put it out. They make the city a lot of money. But also, you know, the main purpose is when people see it, they will slow down. And then, you know, people will be safe as they're crossing the street, right? Or if, you know, someone does speed, you know, they catch them, or if there is, you know, someone gets killed, the camera can catch them as well. This also goes with what the judge was saying about the license plates being covered, because if the license plates are covered, then the cameras can't pick them up. So uh, this is the theme going on, explaining what is happening. But as he said, they were able to get the cameras to pass in Albany for 24/7, not just during, you know, school hours.
We are not telling people not to drive. What we're telling people is drive at the speed limit, which is 25 miles per hour. Our speed cameras save lives, and this data is another reminder that this program is a valuable a tool to change driver behavior and make our street safer. We are also working closely with our partners with the MTA to expand automatic enforcement on both lanes. On slide 4, we will see how traffic safety is not about enforcement, it's also about engineering. And let's look at some of the projects we completed in 2022. Picture in our Bronzedale Avenue road died in the East Bronx. Over the 5 years before our project, Bronzedale Avenue saw 17 deaths or serious injuries and 179 total injuries. We removed a travel lane from the street and added a protected bike lane to calm traffic and support cycling. Road diets have shown no reduced deaths and serious injuries by 30%. Sorry, and correcting that the road diet like this have shown how reduced deaths and serious injuries happen by 30%. Big numbers there too. And protected bike lanes have shown to reduce cyclist injuries risk by 34%. On the slide C, in slide 6, as I mentioned, pedestrian fatality are down 32% from 2022 and 2019. We are always working to protect our vulnerable streets and users. Seen here is our safety project at the intersection of Broadway, Flushing Avenue, and Graham Avenue in Bushwick, Brooklyn. In the 5 years before this project, there were 5 deaths or serious injuries at this intersection and 75 total injuries. We extended the curb and sidewalk to shorten pedestrians crossing and provide safer turn for vehicle. Curb and sidewalk extension like this has shown how to reduce deaths and severe injuries have been happening for pedestrians by 45%. When we go to slide 7, we look forward to many great projects and initiatives this year. This is just a sampling of what we will do in 2023, and we are already on the way. Just last weekend, I stood with Mayor Adams to announce the start of our next phase of Broadway vision to add a new plaza and share streets along this iconic Manhattan corridor. Rest assured, we have exciting projects across the whole board, including our plan to deliver a road diet and protected bike lane on Sunview Avenue in the Bronx and on Hillside Avenue in Queens, where we plan to install pedestrian island. So what we are showing is that when only we are looking at Manhattan, we're looking at the Bronx, we're looking at Brooklyn, we're looking at Queens, we're looking at Staten Island. We're doing everything we have to do to be sure that we make our street safer for everyone, especially for pedestrians and cyclists. Our team, in closing, our team at DOT is working every day to make our streets safer for everyone who uses them. I can give you a sample. I have Joshua here, who oversees all the lighting poles that we have in New York City. We have 300,000 light poles in our street. So DOT is the agency that runs the largest transportation system in the whole nation. And we know that with the support of Mayor Adams, with the leadership of Deputy Mayor Banks and many other NYPD, we will continue to be sure that 2023, we will see even lowest number of deaths of pedestrians and cyclists. Thank you.
That was very informative, Commissioner. Just to thank you. It was a lot of information there. I know the takeaway for me was when 40% speed violation cameras were reduced, which means people are adhering to a degree. So you've heard our information for this week. A lot of good news. We're trending in the right directions in a lot of different areas. Doesn't mean it's there. Doesn't mean we'll ever get there. But the A is in the effort, and I just want to thank my colleagues here very much so. And now, Derek, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We will now take questions from the media related to today's announcements. Please use the raise hand function if you would like to ask a question. Our first question comes from Yoav Gonin from the city. Yoav, your line is unmuted. All right, we'll try to come back to Yoav. Our next question comes from Jeffrey Mays from the New York Times. Jeffrey, your line is now unmuted.
Hey, good morning. Good afternoon, rather. This question is for Chief Madry, Deputy Mayor Banks. We just wrote recently about Madison Square Garden sending private detective to follow a state law enforcement officer. I'm wondering if the NYPD has had any such issues as it goes about its investigative work. And I'm wondering, do you think it's appropriate for a private entity to send a private detective to follow a law enforcement agent?
I'm going to take that. Repeat the question. Was that an on-topic question? I missed the question. It was something with MSG sending a private detective.
Yeah, MSG sent a private detective to follow a state law enforcement officer. I'm wondering if the NYPD has had any such issues with that. And secondly, do you think it's appropriate for a private business entity to send a private detective to follow a law enforcement agent?
That's a question. I would need more data to be able to answer that question. When they said they sent a private investigator to follow a law enforcement, I certainly would need much more information other than to answer that particular question there. So if Jeff, if you get a little more about that, then I can actually attempt to give you a more of an intelligent answer. But just a question about a private business, I don't know who they sent it on. I don't know what the parameters are. It's a little bit more difficult to answer that question in that format.
And if I may, I'm not aware of any incident where any private detectives were following members of the NYPD in regards to anything that's going on in Madison Square Garden.
All right. Our next question comes from Yoav Gonin, again from the city. Yoav, your line is unmuted. All right. Thank you very much. Earlier this week, the administration reached out to New Yorkers asking them to submit questions for the officials that have joined us here today. We will now get to as many of those questions as we can with the time that we have left. Our first question comes from John in Manhattan. This is for the Department of Transportation, asking, how is the city addressing commercial vehicles parked overnight on the street?
Very good question.
Yep. And first of all, I also want to say thank you to Ryan Lynch, my chief of staff, also for the great job that he do leading our agency. And as
So it's going to be interesting to hear his response. My father's a retired truck driver. He had to park his car in a parking lot or in a garage and pay for it. And to see all these trucks, you have charter buses, tractor trailers, staying in residential neighborhoods, blocking um, uh, light and view for safety. So it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say.
I mentioned, the other members of the great team that we have in leadership at DOT, but definitely having Ryan, being added as our chief of staff is a great access that we have at DOT. Legal truck is real, and trucking is a part of the topic that is very important for Mayor Adams. Together with the men and women, the leadership, the chief, and that we were there with Mayor Adams in Queens, removing illegal truck that they were parked in residential area. So what we will see under this administration is NYPD leading together with DOT and other agency, EDC, a plan on how we address a truck that are parked in illegal area. I just came from Brooklyn Terminal, working in that area inside and outside. And we know that there's a street outside in front of the Brooklyn market that trucks are not supposed to be parked over there. But we are, identifying, we walk in the neighborhood, and we want to be sure that the task force that we have, that City Hall put it together, will continue doing all the work that we got to do to address trucks that are parked in illegal residential area.
What?
They are not allowed, and this is a big issue for us.
Our next question comes from Catherine from Manhattan, who asks, what is the city and the NYPD doing to invest in youth sports in the high schools, or creating more athletic facilities, ice rinks, hiring more coaches to help keep youth engaged? We wonder if this would help with teen violence.
I believe it would help with teen violence, but that's not really in our purview to, open up ice skating rinks and sports facilities. We do work closely with our communities. We work closely with our schools. We do have youth centers that our officers run programs out of. We have our youth center in East New York, right on the corner of Pennsylvania and Liberty Avenue, where we do a lot of things with young people involving academics, sports. We have a full-fledged music studio in there. We have a aeronautics program in there. So we have a lot of great things in there That's just one center. We would love to partner up with other people, other donors, and possibly open one center in every borough, two centers in every borough, where not only can the police work with the youth, but other programs can come in and they can do their programs with young people to keep them out off the streets. I think that would be a tremendous help in our communities.
And I just want to add on, Catherine. I think it's a very, a very good question. Um, if the question is, the more we invest in our youth, does it have an impact on crime? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
And you just gave me an idea. Maybe we'll have in the short future, we'll have a briefing where we talk about all of the city's efforts, how we are investing into the youth, and then we can hear ideas on what we need to do a little bit more of or differently. So, but that's not just on the NYPD. That's one of the agencies, of course. But then, of course, there's the DOE, there's YSS, there's just a host of different agencies, and we can all bring them together and have a forum on that. I think it's a good question, and I appreciate the question.
First time that the city has the office of sport
Yes.
and wellness created
Yes.
under Mayor Adams. So this is also something that we have. I don't think that many city has a office for sport and wellness, and this is something that is happening under Mayor Adams.
Law department also has a program that we're also doing now for youth, and we started an apprenticeship program that will be going in this summer. So there are lots of pieces.
Absolutely.
We can
Our next question comes for Judge Hines Radix. People are defeating red light and speed cameras by either covering their license plates with plastic or paint. What is the city doing to crack down on this?
Well,
That question
guess
may have been
we're,
asked before.
we're right on topic. We answered that, and we will continue the enforcement that the city has, and we intend taking all of the legal avenues to ensure that people are complying with the city's laws.
And just to add on to, I mean, our entire presentation was about that. In addition, we spoke about Amazon, but also, the chief here in connection and coordination with the sheriff, we look at the 311 complaints that come out about these vehicles that have these ghost plates and these covers. And there's operations that we go out to illegally tow these vehicles there as well. So if you see these plates on your streets, call in 311, and we monitor that particular data. We'll start sending out resources there to be able to take action against them.
Next question comes from Lewis in Brooklyn for Commissioner Rodriguez. He asks, in light of the drop of fatalities for pedestrians in 2022, what other plans are there in the works to keep New Yorkers safe?
Well, we oversee all our we overpass all the expectation that we have in January 2022, and Mayor Adam and I in November announced how we improve safety of 1,600 intersection when our goal was only 1,000 in January 2022. We also did 100 race crosswalk in 2022. We also improved a number of intersections around schools and senior centers. So what we have again, and under the division led by Brittany, is that the whole planning team at DOT, we are taking to a new scale at the level of improvement. Mayor Adams increased $400 million to DOT so that we will have all the resources that we need in order to improve safety, again, from the lens of equity. And this is the difference. This is what New Yorkers is seeing right now. That in the past, all attention transportation was mainly given to downtown Manhattan, downtown Brooklyn, and Long Island City. What we have seen right now in 2020, we saw in 2022, and we continue seeing in 2023 is that more attention that's given following the data where crashes are happening. That we are also using new technology to be sure that we take care of the lighting, that we take care of the improvement. And also, we're going back now to Albany. And I stand there with Senator John Lewis and something that is important for Mayor Adams, which is about reducing the level of alcohol that are allowed for someone when they're driving. We don't tell no one again not to drive. What we're telling people not to drink. What we are telling people is about if you drink, don't drive. So what we are looking to accomplish is in a package of safety bills called the road bill in Albany. One is leading among this package is about to reduce the numbers of the level of alcohol that someone is allowed to have when they drive from 0.8 to 0.5. We are combining on Vision Zero, redesigning our street through engineer, education through Vision Zero, and working with NYPD to be sure that all drivers know that we are watching them when it comes to how they drive.
And yes, the level of alcohol that you can have in your system while driving has been reduced. So people got to pay attention to that. But it's kind of weird because um, the state passed the the law where you can take drinks out of a store in a container where you couldn't do that. That happened after COVID. In order for the restaurants to make more money, that you were able to purchase liquor in a cup covered and take it out. I mean, people could drink it in the car. It can be, people have to be responsible. But also now your level of alcohol in your blood has that's allowed has been decreased as well. So, people just have to know that these rules are in place and follow them, and people be safe.
In our street, and enforcement is a key issue.
Thank you. Our next question comes for Chief Madry. This is a question we get quite often. With summer coming up, what are you going to do about noise problems? We have parties so loud that our windows shake. Where can we report this?
Well, of course, you can call 311 to report any complaints, as well as speak to your neighborhood coordination officers. When we have locations that we know about in advance, we can send our neighborhood coordination officers to the location. We can speak to the representatives, the host of the party, ask for some cooperation, and just inform them that this is a quality of life issue and it affects many people. We have to work within the parameters of the law. When a party's playing in an indoor location, we just can't kick in the door if there's no other emergency. We have to work within the parameters of the law, but we're willing to go out and talk to people and do all that we can. And in the places that we can do enforcement, we will do enforcement to gain compliance. But our first option, the first thing we want to do is be able to talk to people, just ask for their compliance so everyone can enjoy themselves, but our neighbors can sleep as well. And we'll be doing that all summer long.
For Commissioner Rodriguez, Valerie from Manhattan asks, is it possible to make the street lights brighter at night? Or are there other ideas to increase roadway safety at night?
Definitely improving safety, as I said before, is a top priority. The light pole that we have in New York City is around 300,000. That make it one of the cities that had the larger number. So improving lighting will always be something that we are looking. We're always looking for new technology. But I can say that when anyone, see the command center that we have in Long Island City, coordinated by DOT, NYPD, and New York State Department of Transportation, all New Yorkers, they should know that we are always looking for, how we improve lighting and how we address, crashes that happen at night. I said before, the trains or reckless drivers is an epidemic that is affecting the whole nation. All the city, they're looking at New York City on what are we doing to reduce it. As Mayor say, we are 8.6 million New Yorkers, but we are 100 millions of different opinions. So anyone can come and say at the data and say, these numbers are higher. What we are looking on crashes and fatalities about those numbers are the results or a lot of reckless drivers driving drunk, over speeding, especially many of them in the highway. So what I would like to encourage people is to see what are we doing at the intersections. But because before Vision Zero, before this administration, most crashes were happening at intersection. What we saw in 2022 was a reduction. Many of those crashes were happening at night. And yes, we are continuing doing everything we can to reduce those numbers because one life that we lost in New York City is too many for this administration.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And our final question comes from Kristen in the Bronx. She asks, I take the A and 1 train to school in the Bronx, same as my students. When I transfer to the 1 at 168th Street in the morning, I often don't see officers. What can be done to increase enforcement around school hours?
Christian, thank you. I will speak to the commanding officer of that respective train district. I absolutely want you to see more police officers there. I want the young people to see the police officers there. We want we want everyone to get to school safely and get to work safely. So we'll put some extra coverage there. Thank you.
On behalf of the Adams administration, I would like to thank everyone for tuning into today's briefing. We look forward to seeing you all at our next one. Have a great day.